Hey guys, Andy Figure Therapy here today, and we're going to be taking a look at the, I think it's Eastern Models. Actually, no, it's Tron Models. Sorry, yeah, Tron Models Hyper Agent Gridman model kit. So this is their first kind of entry into the world of model kits. I don't think they really made anything else, but yeah. So it's really cool because first off, this is a Gridman model kit. Put that in your mouth for a second, because Gridman model kit, you know, there's only like one other one out there, and it's kind of small. This one is big, so that's pretty sick. All right, so, and also it's actually like actual Gridman. It's funny because it's it's actually licensed, because I kind of thought it would be like a kind of like a KO or a third party, I guess. But yeah, so kind of looking at the box here. Oh, do you hear that? That means it's a model kit. But basically, around the box, like you can kind of see some good, nice pictures of it. I feel like they didn't really take the posing to the max with some of the art, because it actually can do more than it just shows here. But yeah, so the box has some English and some Chinese on it. This box is actually really big too. It's about the size of a not all the way to the master grade Gundam box, but pretty close, probably like a little bit of an inch off. But yeah, it's a very nice model kit. Comes with some nice stuff. So it does have an LED gimmick, so that's pretty cool. And also it does have some nice effects and whatnot. And then also here's all the stuff. But yeah, basically, so Chinese Gridman model kit. Where can you go wrong? So let's take a look at the instructions. So actually, we're going to take a quick look at the instructions first. Nice standard black and white instructions. There is some color. Here are the stickers that I did not apply, just because maybe I'll save them for later, because they will be doing the full-powered Gridman. So that's actually really cool. I'm glad that they're kind of touching base on something that's been lacking in the Gridman community, which is a nice, big, posable Gridman. And it's just like kind of cool. But yeah, what I also find kind of funny is that for this part of the instructions, they actually just drew over, like, in kind of a ghetto way, but they cut the picture in half, and then they drew over it to show that the LED gimmick, how it kind of works. But I guess that's ideation at its finest. But yeah, so here's the instructions. Very simple, I guess. It is very straightforward, and yeah, not that long. So there's the instructions and the stickers. So, kind of moving on to the actual figure here. It does not come with the stand. This is just an Action Base 4 that is actually very, I guess, accommodating for it. So it does kind of make sense that this thing was, it's almost as if this was made to be placed on an Action Base. But we'll take them off the Action Base for a second there, because we need to talk about this. So this is actually a stand that comes with the Gridman, and it's actually very similar to the Action Base ones. The Action Base comes with an extra like little mini stand, and this disc part is actually eerily similar. So I was like, I wonder if it fits, and luckily enough, it does. Or not super, but it does kind of make you wonder what that peg is for, if not to fit with an Action Base like that. It's not super strong, but it does fit in there. So I think with a dab of glue, it would be able to kind of just work there. Whoop. There goes Gridman. But yeah, so there's that. So let's just take off the stand really quick here and just kind of show Gridman on his own. So here he is. So as you may have noticed, he is quite large. So that's what I like a lot. And also, if the video would focus, he is the version of Gridman that's from the animation. So, if you guys, just to bring in some other Gridmen to kind of compare here, here's the Figma one, which is super Obari, and nothing wrong with that. But, you know, in the animation, he's super kind of clunky. The anime itself does this really good job of showing off a sort of CG mix of like animating people in suits, which is really cool. And yeah, so there he is next to the Figma, and then here he is next to the Nendroid, just for fun. So he is quite large. He's definitely around like 8 to 10 inches. And then also, just to kind of show him off against his other brethren of model kit, here is the Super Mini Pla full-powered Gridman. So definitely taller than the full-powered mode, which is actually really cool. So he's definitely quite a large model kit. So here he is. And what's cool about this too is that he just has so much part separation that essentially you don't really need stickers at all, which is kind of why the sticker sheet is only for the Gridman caliber. But yeah, the sculpt itself is beautiful. It's a nice solid model kit. Everything feels nice and tight, and there is some like subtle ratcheting for some parts to kind of demonstrate how it's going to work in the future with the full powered part. So yeah, a lot of the details are all there. You know, there are some pre-painted parts, so the hand covers are actually pre-painted, and then I think that might be it for pre-painted, but everything else is separate parts. Now, I will say something about the build quality. The build quality is not quite there, just saying, because, you know, it's kind of natural with every single, I guess, like, first model kit of a new company, that their model kits won't always be super solid. Like, Motoroid had their Kaiser, which wasn't very solid, it wasn't very tight. This one, I think just some areas, there are some flash, you know, like the little excess plastic and whatnot. And then also, like, but most of that flash stuff is on the inside, which is good because, you know, that doesn't really affect the outside molding. A lot of stuff is undergated, so that's kind of like a thing. If you like that kind of thing, it's cool because you don't really have to worry about the nub showing throughout. But sometimes if the undergate is right in the middle of a seam, like where two parts come together, it does kind of get annoying to kind of eliminate it. But yeah, so that's basically that. And also, like, some parts don't fit super well together. After I built the whole thing, I basically went back and I played with it for a second just to see what parts wouldn't stay together, and I just glued it all together. One big problem is the joint in the shoulder, which is super tight, but that's because most likely for the full power mode. And then also, like, the way it comes together, it was super easy to come off, and then I accidentally, like, messed it up. So one side is super clean in terms of the glue, and the other side is kind of messy. So that's kind of on me. But ultimately, if you're building it, I just recommend just gluing it all together anyways, because if you're going to paint it, like, you would already paint it ahead of time, or you just want to leave it in its natural colors just because it looks so good on its own. So as you might have noticed, I also have the Green Knight Saber clipped, and you can take that off. It actually comes with two of the primal acceptors. So one, which has the hole in it for the Grid Knight Saber, and then the other one, which is just a standard one. So that is actually really nice looking. Let me see if I can focus on that really quick. But yeah, the camera isn't picking it up because it's super tiny, but there is a lot of really nice detail on it, and it has a nice little orange gem that you can just go ahead and swap out with this arm. So there is that. So there he is. He does come with other hands, so he has closed fists on him right now, and then he does have a pair of... Let me just get him to stand. He does have a pair of open hands. So these open hands are nice. They're kind of like grabby. It's cool. And then he does have a pair of holding hands. So the holding hands themselves are really unique because they come apart right at the fingers so that you can hold on to the Gridman caliber. And it's actually pretty solid. Like, I'm having a hard time fitting them in there just because they're actually kind of tight. But yeah, so they kind of go in there. Let me just go ahead and move the camera a little bit closer. There you go. Alright, so, and then I guess since we're on accessories, might as well talk about the Gridman caliber. Now, the only thing that kind of bums me out is this part itself was kind of a lot of liberty taken, because usually this part is a large, kind of like an axe portion. So if you see right here, you know, you can kind of tell that this was definitely shortened, because this also makes the chest of the full-powered Gridman. This is meant to open up, but this doesn't really look like the big kind of like crest symbol. But so I think when they come out with the rest of the parts, it'll have like an addendum part to it or something. But yeah, so ultimately, just your standard Gridman caliber. There is a nice like gold paint sheen on it, which is nice, and also the part separation is nice because of this little gem right here. You can swap out the blade, so they come with a normal blade, and then they come with like this Obari blade, so a little bit exaggerated. And then the Figma does have something similar to that, but it's much larger. This is cool though, so it is kind of nice that it has that. Also, this kind of comes apart here. It doesn't come with the part to kind of show, or I guess like without the this black portion in there. So similar to like how when Gridman gives Grid Knight his the Gridman caliber and becomes like the red version, it does not have that part, so it's kind of unfortunate. So let's go ahead and pop that into the hand really quick. All you need to do is just take this and then take the fingers and put the fingers in there. There is a slot right here that will just go ahead and line up with the hole in there, and it's nice and solid. It kind of slides a little bit, that's fine, But yeah, it's super cool. So there's that. We can go ahead and pop it into his hand. His hands are just on simple ball joints. So there you go. And he holds it pretty well. Just like I said, he has a lot of like really strong joints, so he can hold it super nice. But yeah, so there's that. And then oh, that should not be popping out. But yeah, so there's that. Like I will say, one part that was kind of necessary to glue was these arm portions, because the polycap inside which held the hand was kind of loose, so you basically need to like make sure you sandwich that nice and tight, or else it'll just keep messing with the hand articulation. So there's that. And also, in addition to that, he does come with this effect part, which is the grid beam, I think. I haven't watched the anime in a hot second, but yeah, so basically what you would do is you would implement the primal acceptor without the gem in it, and then you would just go ahead and peg that in there, and then you have the grid the beam. But yeah, so basically there's that, and let's see if I can go ahead and show that off here. Now he does hold it pretty well without the need of the stand, just because his arm joints are pretty nice and tight. So like that, you can kind of see there. So kind of like a funny action pose, I guess. But yeah, so there's that. But he does come with, or the stand, which I mentioned earlier, was actually meant to hold up the grid beam with this little adapter, I guess, or just like a little bit of a cup sort of thing, just to hold it up. But yeah, so just in case, I guess in the future. He also comes with some spare parts, so to speak. He comes with this arm piece without the acceptor, so I assume that's for when when they eventually remold this kit into Grid Knight, which I really hope they do, because it's a nice kit. And then because Grid Knight doesn't have the primal acceptor, so he would just have the spare hand piece. And then, funny enough, he has these two vent pieces, which I have no idea where they go. They were on the runner, so I can think of either for Grid Knight himself, or for what is it, the Max Gridman or something. But these are just really tiny vent pieces. They don't mention them at all in the instructions, but it's like put on the runner, so it's kind of funny. But yeah, hopefully that kind of clears up when they eventually do other incarnations of this kit. So yeah, so let's go ahead and talk about the articulation. So go ahead and take this off. Actually, I don't really need to take that off. You can just leave that one on, and we'll take out the sword as well. Oop. And swap it out for, let's just go with an open hand just to kind of show that off. But yeah, so basically the head joint isn't super great. It doesn't go up that far. It goes down pretty far, but it also has a tendency to pop out a lot. One thing that's interesting about this kit is that they'll show you that the polycaps have to go in a certain way, like a certain orientation, but that's because they're almost like dome, like partial dome ones, because it's like a ball joint or something. I'm not sure how I feel about that. That is kind of weird. But so the head can rotate 360 and then go up and down slightly. The arms can rotate 360. They're on these nice ratchets. You can definitely feel it. But they'll definitely wear out over time. That's the thing. And they can also pull out, so you can bend them forward and backward, which is good as well. And then they also go up about that far. But if you move the shoulder piece out, which is on this little hinge, it can go out just a little bit farther. So that's pretty cool. There's some rotation at the bicep, a double jointed bend at the elbow. There's a rotation at the forearm, so you can actually bend, or you can have him forward like this and still get that bend out of it, or like this and have that bend. Hand, like I mentioned earlier, is on a ball joint. The torso, not too much articulation. This a nice ab crunch forward, but nothing like the Figma. And then also the hips are on a pull-out joint, so you can pull it out and then not really do the splits, but you're getting pretty close there with some nice articulation. Some rotation here. Like I said, there's a nice ratchet here, so you can almost feel it. Not as tight as the shoulder, though, unfortunately. This piece right here, I'm kind of mixed about, because it's pretty smart engineering how it moves up and down to kind of get out of the way in terms of posing. But the joint itself is actually really small. It's like this really small hinge, so that kind of worries me. But yeah, rotation at the leg before this joint right here, which is actually really nice. There's a double bent double joint at the knee, which is nice and tight as well, ratchet. And this little armor piece goes up and down. Also, yeah, like I forgot to mention, this one does go up and down as well. And then at the feet, there is a nice hinge, and then also some forward and backward movement, which is nice. And the toe can pivot as well. So that's pretty nice, right? So overall, he has some pretty good articulation to complement some fun poses, especially since it's kind of meant to be a guy in a suit. Now, I guess another cool thing to talk about is this this part of the foot. It comes with some nice stickers that go on the bottom of his feet because they're actually like rubber padded, so that way he can kind of stand a lot better. It gives him some grip, kind of like texture like shoes. And then also, in terms of like the plastic, it's hard to explain, but the plastic is almost like this really strong kind of third-party transformer plastic. Not really brittle in a sense, but it does feel like it'll take a second to break it. So that's actually pretty nice. There are like a different kind of textured plastic. So there's a gloss on the black parts, and then there's more of like a semi-gloss on the white parts. So there's that. And then also one final thing I guess to talk about, which is this light up gimmick. So what's cool is the switch is actually hidden right on the back. This little part right here is a button. You press it, and then his eyes and his chest lights up, which is super nice. So I can go ahead and turn off the lights really quick here, or dim them up. But basically they glow nice and bright, and you can see his ear parts light up as well, which is really cool. I like that a lot. Yeah. So basically, overall, this is a super nice figure kit. I mean, like, Tron Models did a fantastic job. It's a good way to kind of mix yourself up in terms of, if you're kind of tired of the Gundam stuff, you want to get into something else. It's a kind of a solid kit in terms of articulation and also build quality. Like I mentioned, there was some small things before, but honestly, if you built enough Gundam model kits, you're totally fine with all that stuff. And yeah, hopefully, I'm looking forward to what else they have to put out for the specific Gridman, especially the other vehicles, especially since how big this guy is. I could totally imagine the full-powered one just being at least, like, maybe even, like, over 15 inches. So it's definitely really cool to see what comes out of this model kit. I hope they do release more, and I hope it does really well, given that this model kit is sold out in a lot of places already, so I assume everyone's pretty excited to own it. So, yeah, overall, I hope you guys enjoyed this review of the Tron Models Gridman model kit, and, yeah, that's pretty much it, and I'll see you guys next time.